Hello, this is Jeremy playing Oxygen Not Included. In this episode, I'm starting off bringing brine to the inverted world. So I'm bringing that towards the teleporter there. Brine is going to be the cooling mechanism I use in the inverted world. So I've got an aqua tuner over there, and it's going to keep this brine quite cold. But the other thing that I want to do, so that's just going to go in that liquid reservoir there. I'm also selecting a location for 2 steam turbines to take power from the hot magma that's there. So I'm going to choose a spot that has 10 tiles long worth of cool basalite. I don't want to use hot basalite. It's very important that the basalite is cool. So that's the blue stuff there. So I've got 10 rows of it over there, and I'll have 2 steam turbines plus a chamber underneath. Now it is time to send dupe to, so what I want to do here, actually let me turn this off, we're not ready to go just yet. I want to load this with oil and send it back to the home world. So at the moment I actually have 2 dupes at the inverted world, but things are slowing down there. I've got far more work to do in the home world, so I'm going to send this dupe there. I'll probably send the other dupe back as well once that teleporter is recharged. I want to start increasing the number of dupes that I have to 12, so I need 2 more. I'm going to call this one Chef, since they like to cook. So I've got Chef and a Cook, so those are the 2 dupes that will do most of the cooking. So any other dupes hopefully won't have the cooking attribute. So now that they've joined, how about I just give them some carrying skills that can help move stuff along on the base. The dupes and Desolans don't have access to a lot of water, so what I'm going to do is just dig out this little bit of water that came out of that steam vent and just pump that towards the oxygen system oil well, getting a little bit more oil from that. But I'm going to have to ultimately source my water from the homeworld, but until then, hopefully that'll be enough. Just digging out a chamber underneath where the steam turbines are going to be, that's going to have the hot steam. So I'm ready in terms of oil to send this rocket back to the homeworld. So I'm going to have 1 dupe go there and choose the homeworld. But, realizing I can't make it. Okay, so I'm going to need some carbon dioxide filled up. So I'll need some gas pipes and a pump. And there should be enough. I haven't pumped out much carbon dioxide in a while, so I should be able to find a location for it. A little bit there. That should be enough, actually, to get this shipment home so I can produce a little bit more plastic and bring another rock back with more water for over here. Just in case that is not going to be enough, I decided to build a pump down here where there's far more carbon dioxide. And even if I don't need it at the moment, I probably will need it at some point in the future. Over here, I mentioned that I'm going to build steam turbines. There's no point in doing this unless I actually connect it with power so it can provide power to my base. So once I have that liquid aqua tuner going, I'll start be needing a lot more power, especially at nighttime when the solar panels are out. You can see some shipments of oil have made it to the homeworld, so that is great. If I don't have my beacon set up, that means my dupes have to run around and collect the payloads and travel a little bit longer to get there. But once that beacon is created, that should reduce that from happening. With more carbon dioxide in the engine, I'm now easily able to make it back home. I'm actually going to send 2 dupes to the homeworld, since I've got a lot more work that needs to be done there than here. In fact, I probably will just keep this as a 1 dupe asteroid for a while. Main reason for that is I need someone to operate the oil well every so often, so someone needs to look after that. I see that get their gas mask on. The other dupe is also in space producing some data banks. So just making sure that when they land here, that water isn't going to mix with the oil. That looks good. And now we're getting a lot more oil from the Desolans here. That's so excellent. So at this location, I've created 3 steam turbines. And the goal of this is to create a place to produce rebels. So that's going to be the research reactor using rich uranium. I need to keep that cool. And this is going to be a mini version of this. I'm going to create a larger one later on. And that is going to be sort of more self-sufficient. This one's going to be a little bit more manual and won't be able to run 100% of the time. It will have to have cooldown periods where it doesn't run for periods of time. And the idea here is just get this running up and quickly so I can get some rebels, and I'll have the larger one built in the future. Okay, so over here it is time to land to bring my databanks back to the homeworld, just so that I can do some research, because I'd like to do some more advanced research in the moment. Forgot how tall the research reactor was, so you actually need 6 tiles tall for room for that big, which means I'm going to need these temporary ladders to allow the dupes to create all the drywalling that's going to be necessary here. So this whole area is going to contain steam ultimately, and well, that's why I've got the steam turbines, but as well as a little bit of nuclear waste at the bottom. But I'm going to also possibly put in a cooling or aqua tuner there to keep the top of the steam turbines cool. I've yet to actually create any pepper bread with the ingredients that I've been creating. It's just been building up sleet wheat and pepper. So what I'm going to do is actually build the gas range. That's going to need natural gas. I've been saving up a little bit of natural gas, as you can see here. So I'm going to direct that to go towards the gas range and start to be consumed. That way, if more natural gas is released, that's coming from the oil refinery, that will then be collected here rather than being wasted out in space. So that is going to allow either cook or chef. Well, a chef doesn't have the skills yet, but I guess cook for the moment to be able to use that machine. Create some pepper bread, and I'll probably need some automation around the area as well. So the research rocket has not stayed down very long. The whole goal was just load up on food, oxygen, and plastic, as well as unload the databanks so I can do some research. So once those databanks are unloaded, then I can send this back up to generate some more. So I just need a dupe that has operation skill and the piloting skill, and they can spend time up there producing all the stuff they have, as long as they have plastic with them in the machinery. One of the goals that I'd like to have is red bolt propulsion. So between the databanks and the red bolt generation, hopefully that will come through. The inverted world is a smelly place. So while I've got the dupe here and not much priority for them, I'm just going to put in this cleanup process or deodorizers to convert that to normal oxygen. Eventually, once the teleporter is ready, I'll get them to go to the homeworld. Here we can specify that I want pepper bread created. How about we just test this out with a dozen loaves, and cook should be able to go there, or actually one of the dupes will actually have to put the ingredients in manually. That's not ideal. Let's put in an automation. The other thing is pepper bread is going to just fall on the floor. Oh yeah, that's terrible. No, okay, yeah, this sweeper here is going to be absolutely critical. So that sweeper can reach both ingredients and the gas range, and can put the pepper bread inside that conveyor loader. That conveyor loader, is that specified with pepper bread? No, there it is. So that's extremely important because we want that pepper bread to be frozen and last forever. Now that we have a gas range, one thing that I'd want to do is actually handle the excess amount of natural gas that's being created here by the oil well. And I can do this by creating a pump. I'm actually going to put in a little sensor there. It says if it detects natural gas, and if it does for a certain amount of time, run this pump and send this pump towards the interplanetary launcher, which is going to bring natural gas. I need to connect range. Let me just cut this pipe here and then redirect that towards the interplanetary launcher, and that's aimed at the homeworld. So now that is sending not only oil, but also, or crude oil, it's also going to be sending natural gas for my cooking. Could also use it for energy, but that's, it's probably, I think I've got enough energy, especially with a nuclear reactor coming, a research reactor. I also need to do a little bit of filtering for that, because I don't want to send a mix of gases, which could be happening now. So I'm just going to put an optimized filtration system here. It's going to look for natural gas, and if it detects natural gas, it will put it into this gas reserve, gas reserve, and then that will direct it towards the interplanetary launcher. Everything else is going to go out here in that vent. So that is the idea there, and of course that'll need power. Connection with natural gas go towards the interplanetary launcher. Just cut that. And once this is constructed, and even this is just one dupe doing all the work, but They've got plenty of lead, so no problem with material. I'm not in any rush, really, so whenever they do it, they do it. I don't care that this may take a little bit longer because there's one dupe doing all things, including farming and running around doing that. But actually, they're working on the pipes, so I would say they're not too terribly busy. So actually, I don't think it'll take that long. 12 pieces of pepper bread has easily been created. 70,000 calories, probably the most amount of calories I've had, possibly at this point. So I'm just going to get that to create the pepper bread forever. So cook is going to continually go between barbecuing and on the gas range for pepper bread. I want to use some water for some of the stuff in the top of the inverted world. So I'm just doing some digging, rearranging here so I have access to more water in the future. Filtration system here just needs to have natural gas specified. So specify it there as well. I guess that pump needs power, and with that, I should start to be getting natural gas towards the interplanetary launcher. The other thing that I can send is solid material. So I'm sending liquid and gas. I can also send solid material through the interplanetary launcher. I just need to set up a sweeper, conveyor loader, and I'll need to send the rail from that to the interplanetary launcher. And the main thing that's going to be sent is lead, at least initially. Also, once natural gas lands here, I'm going to direct that natural gas to go towards the gas range. So that should allow me to produce a lot of pepper bread from both my ingredients that I'm growing and the natural gas that's needed inside the gas range. So 140 calories, definitely the most amount of calories I have had in this point. And those calories are stored in a deep freezer system, so they're never going to go bad. So we are looking extremely well food-wise for the first time and probably since the beginning of this game. That's just going to do some rearranging here just to make things a little bit easier. I think I'm going to make the top line the carbon dioxide. Problems. We are out of sand, filtration medium. So quite a bit of sand here because this is the ocean world and I've got lots and lots of sand to be able to dig out. But once I get to this point, this is my signal to stop relying on the polluted water to oxygen system. I've got tons and tons of clay that have been turned into a lot of ceramic. I'm not in need of any more ceramic. And I can easily pivot to oxygen or water to oxygen system by the electrolyzers. So I'm going to start to do that in the home world. Here in the Desolens, realizing that these things aren't going to be created unless I give this to Metatronics Engineering. And let me just build the conveyor line that goes from that to the interplanetary launcher. As I mentioned, this is going to be sending lead initially, perhaps iron ore and other stuff as well, but primarily want to get lead started to build up in the home world because I have use for that, particularly in the inverted world later on. Is it time to take the 12th dupe, or do I not like their stats? Research suit wearing tiny cleaner. Sure, let's bring them in. Kitchen Menace. Well, they won't be doing any cooking for me. That's not a problem. So welcome Cleaner to the team. So digging down here is multi-purpose. I'm getting quite a bit of sand, but the primary thing I'm actually after at the moment is a place to build a water to oxygen system via electrolyzers. So one of the other outputs I'm going to get from the electrolyzer is hydrogen, so I'll have to deal with that as I am in the main base. The difference here is instead of leaking that everything into the base itself, I'm actually going to put it into this chamber, very large chamber on the top. That's going to be a pump for the hydrogen. So the teleporter is ready in the inverted world, so I can send operator, the last remaining dupe, to the home world. And I'll send dupes back to the inverted world to finish some of those projects later on. I got my dupes to build an AND gate with these two gas element sensors looking for hydrogen. If they both detect hydrogen, that pump will go on. That's going to send it to a filtration system and ultimately to a hydrogen generator. And that's going to be very similar to the setup that I had earlier. I'm going to continue to dig down, building a spot for two electrolyzers. I'm going to put one here. I'm going to make them out of gold magma just in case they get a little warm, but I'm going to aim to put a cooling system, and I won't do that just now, but I will have to have a water line or some sort of liquid line that goes around to keep these two machines cool. And then the idea is I'm going to have a series of pumps that are underneath that are going to be intaking the oxygen. And I'll have two standard filtration systems that I typically build for that, for the oxygen as well as the hydrogen. And that way I'll have two lines of hydrogen going out of this. So that's all, of course, needs power. And then I'll have the actual water line going in. Now, just what I might actually do is dig a path from here, from where the barracks is, over, and put the line through that. Now I'll need to create a floor there, or ceiling floor there, depending on which side you're on, and make sure that I don't destroy the barracks, so that remains intact. And then if that's in place, I'll have a water line that goes from there into my main water line towards the oxygen room. So I can continually supply that with water to be turned into oxygen and a little bit of hydrogen. Almost 250,000 calories, most of which is pepper bread, quite a bit of barbecue meat too. Things are looking good. So the priority for this episode has been very much the electrolyzer system, water to oxygen. And that's because I discovered the fact that I am very, very low on sand. I've dug out quite a bit, but it won't take too long before I have run out of that, and will be continually searching for more. So that no longer becomes a problem if I don't depend on sand as part of my oxygen needs. So actually even have the electrolyzers on the moment. They're producing both oxygen and hydrogen, and I don't have that chamber closed. That's okay, not a problem. So I'll eventually aim to block off that area. And then I'm digging out two spots here for filtration, or filtering. So these two are going to filter oxygen, and I'm going to have two separate lines, so two pumps can supply a single line. And since I have 4 pumps in total, that means I've got need for 2 lines, and it's going to look identical on either side of them. So both pumps will meet with their oxygen at one point, and then it all goes towards the filtering system. And that's the same setup I have done many, many times. And then the other thing that is this. So I'm actually going to tell the pumps to turn off if I've got too much oxygen, or let's say I'll probably just make it 50%. So one of those gas reservoirs gets 50% full. It tells the pump, hey, you know what, shut off, I've got enough for me. One thing I don't want to do is to get a backup of oxygen such that the filter system is not working. So 2 things you don't want to have happen is too much oxygen to go in particular that vent that I'm building right now. You don't want that to become overrun as well. So a little bit of carbon dioxide may go out of that filtering space system, but most of it should be oxygen. So that's it, I think. What else? I've got power in the pumps. I'm just going to build some ladders there in case dupes need. Oh, that's actually not connected. Okay, so again, similar filtration system. This one's going to be hydrogen. It's going to have a hydrogen generator to the left of it, and I'll have a smart battery. This is the same setup that's taking care of the excess hydrogen that's building inside the base. Nice thing about this is now hydrogen, once I'm completely relying on just these electrolyzers, not the ones that are in the middle of the base, I won't have hydrogen in the actual base itself building up, assuming that I destroy, of course, the old electrolyzers once this is all built and done with. So I can already see 2 of the pumps are on. Let's see, so I already have, I didn't realize I had this research. Instead of using these regular vents, because that can become a problem if they become over pressured. Because let's say you've got excess amount of carbon dioxide that goes in there. If that fills up, then your filter system will actually output carbon dioxide into the oxygen line going out, possibly. Well, as you can see right there, that was the problem I'm trying to avoid. So that's just because those vents don't exist, but that'll make that much less likely to happen. The reason I'm using those filtration systems is they're just more power efficient than if you were to build a regular filtration system that doesn't have that issue and smaller, but consumes a lot more power. So smart battery over here is going to, actually that's the manual, that's the hydrogen generator button left of that. I'm going to build a smart battery to tell that, oh, why can't that build with a, is there something in the way? I don't see any plants. Okay, bit of a mystery, but whatever. So I'm just going to ignore that. Just going to put an OR gate there, and not on the other one. Basically say if there's too much hydrogen or need power, then you can operate that. Over here, just realize I need more copper. Once this is all in place, and you can see oxygen is filtering on the top line now. I already have more than half on the second one. And a place to deal with hydrogen. I'm just going to put it at setting 99 on that one, so that will burn power or hydrogen as soon as we need just a tiny bit of power. Now that I have this, I'm currently outputting oxygen next to the pips, so they got tons of oxygen from the system. But now I can direct these two lines to various different locations in and around the base, so I can supply all my oxygen needs with this. I'll just put these regular vents at various different spots all across here, as well as I'll eventually supply that to the input line to the Atmos suits as well. So this is looking quite good. I now just need to be careful, oh, I didn't mean to do that, about how I'm going to interact with this piping system, because one thing I don't want to have happen is have the two pipes converge into one, because that's whole pointless. Why did I create two lines going out when if I'm just going to merge it into one? So here I'm also just forcing everything to go to the left, so it doesn't get mixed up when it gets into a mix of the current system. So I'm still relying on the polluted water to oxygen system. It is still running, so it's kind of taking both of those oxygen things, but eventually, once I've tested and run this long enough, I will actually shut down the polluted water to oxygen system, and I'll be relying completely on this. Oh, didn't mean to run over that vent. That's not a good thing. That needs to be fixed. Okay, so another, I'm not going to take any more dupes. Might wait before I increase the number of dupes for a little bit, but I'm going to continue this line. Again, the idea here is I'm going to take the two lines going down in such a way that it doesn't interact or it doesn't build together and converge to a single line. And I'll just put two vents down there. And what I'm going to do is actually, I just realized that I have an oxygen line that's going towards the inverted world, providing oxygen there. No one's currently there at the moment, but eventually someone will be at that spot. So I'm going to actually have this oxygen line go towards that as well and go up as well. I'm going to be careful about how I connect this so that I don't have sort of a blocking sort of thing between having two separate lines of oxygen being provided into the main base. So I'll use a bridge to be able to do that. So I started essentially a line going up, line going down, vents at various different spots, and I'll just continue that. Now that I've got this, I feel confident that I can destroy the electrolyzers that I have in the main base, stopping the production of hydrogen. There, I'll keep the pump at the top of the base for a little bit longer. Quickly change the priorities for this episode to making an electrolyzer system turn water into oxygen, because I was running low on sand and didn't want to be in a pinch without a electrolyzer system. So now that's in place. That's providing two different lines of oxygen going to my base, vented out in various different locations. I can now hopefully go back in the next episode to producing a red bolt generation system. So like, subscribe, and see you next video. Till then.